John Cleaver, a teenager with sociopathic tendencies, lives above a funeral home, assisting his mother, April, with embalming corpses. Unlike other teens his age, John is hyper-aware of his darker impulses and has set strict rules for himself, never to harm or act on the violent urges he constantly battles. He studies serial killers obsessively, not out of admiration, but as a way to understand and suppress the darkness he fears is inside him. His small, quiet town is suddenly rocked by a series of brutal murders. Victims are found mutilated, their bodies missing key organs, as if someone or something is harvesting them for a purpose. The police are baffled by the case, and while the town is gripped by fear, John feels something different. He isn't afraid, he's intrigued. And so, against his better judgment, he begins investigating the killings himself. The town, once peaceful, is now consumed by paranoia. People lock their doors at night, and rumors spread about who the killer might be. But John isn't looking for the obvious suspects, he's searching for patterns, small details that others miss. With his analytical mind, he starts putting pieces together, observing everything and everyone around him. His research leads him to suspect that these killings are not random acts of violence but part of something far more methodical. He starts to see connections between the victims, who they were, what they had in common, and, more disturbingly, the precision with which their bodies were mutilated. What begins as a morbid curiosity soon becomes a dangerous obsession. John becomes hyper-focused on tracking the killer. He stakes out potential suspects, watching their movements, taking notes, and constructing a psychological profile in his mind. But the more he investigates, the closer he gets to something he never expected. The evidence points towards someone shockingly familiar, someone within his immediate reach. The realization shakes him, but instead of backing away, he dives deeper. John knows he's different from other people. He's spent years training himself to resist his darkest thoughts, but now, confronted with something so sinister, he wonders if he embraces his own darkness, could he become the hunter instead of the prey? One of the most intriguing figures in John's life is his elderly neighbor, Mr. Crowley. Played by Christopher Lloyd, he is a kind-hearted, well-respected man who has lived in the town for decades. He seems harmless, a sweet old man who dotes on his wife and carries himself with quiet dignity. But John, ever the observer, starts noticing things that don't quite add up. Why does Mr. Crowley always seem to be around when something terrible happens? Why does he never appear concerned about the killings? And why does John feel an unsettling presence whenever he's near him? As he watches Crowley more closely, he begins to see cracks in the old man's carefully constructed facade. Soon, he suspects that Crowley is far from the gentle neighbor everyone believes him to be. John's investigation takes a terrifying turn when he witnesses something he cannot explain, something beyond human comprehension. At first, he doubts his own mind. Could he be imagining things? Could his obsession with serial killers be warping his sense of reality? But then, the truth becomes undeniable. What he has discovered is not just a human predator, it is something far worse. He is now trapped between two terrifying realities: one, the monster that lurks within himself, and two, the very real threat that has been hiding in plain sight. For the first time in his life, John is faced with a decision he never prepared for. Should he break his own moral code to stop a greater evil? And if he does, will it awaken something inside him that he can never suppress again? As John closes in on the truth, the stakes rise to a deadly level. He is no longer just an observer, he is now an active player in a dangerous game. The line between good and evil blurs, and he must make a choice that will define the rest of his life. The film builds toward a tense, atmospheric climax with shocking twists that subvert expectations. If you enjoy psychological thrillers with a unique twist, this film is worth watching. What are your thoughts on the film? Did you find its blend of horror and mystery effective? Let us know in the comments.